everybody. Welcome to Video Marketing Success Stories. I'm Andy Glickman, along with Maury Rogow, CEO and founder of RIP Media Group. How's it going, Maury?
Hello. I'm good. Thank you.
We're here to talk video marketing, gosh darn it. That's what we do on a weekly basis. We talk about video marketing projects that Maury and the team have experienced firsthand, lived through, survived, whatever descriptor you want to use, hopefully as a way to teach those in the industry or those who want to get involved in the industry, or if you're a company that needs video marketing, as we continually say, who doesn't? Hopefully you can grab some tips from us. One thing we've talked about many times in the past, we've talked about the different styles that you use and when to use animation versus live action and 3D animation versus 2D. I wanted to talk about a project. I'd love to focus on some of the series of videos that you guys do when you have a client who I assume is a good client because they keep coming back for more, or maybe you just nag them so much that they're like, all right, already, we'll do it.
It's a combination of both. Yes,
it's true. It's a duality. The Cedar Sinai projects have a very interesting visual style, and we'll include a link to so that the viewers can take a look at those. Kind of at a loss as to how to describe it. It's 2D, but there's definitely, it's like 2.5D. It's like there's like an extra sort of dimension trying to bust out.
Yeah.
I can't even describe it. Tell us first of all, how you got involved with Cedar Sinai, because that's no small potatoes.
Thanks.
And then how that style, who even thought about that, and how they were sort of convinced that it was something to go with.
Yeah, sure. So there's a lot of pieces to the puzzle here. So, honestly, Cedar Sinai is literally down the street from me, and I've wanted to work with them for a long time. So I've dropped hints to their marketing people, marketing department, made calls in there, stopped by because it's actually where my doctor is, like knocking on a door of one of 7,000, because that's how many people work there.
No better way to drum up business than to actually be a customer for the person that hey, can you check my arm here? And while I'm at it, do you guys do video marketing?
You ever think video? A lot of it came from, like, the place is so big and unwieldy. It's, it's this series of buildings, and they're, a couple of them are right together. Then there's connected by a bridge, and then you have down the street there's another one, and it's like, man, they need a map app. And I'm not kidding, like, I can figure it out, but
just for the parking lot.
That's so funny you just said that, because you have to park 3 buildings away to get to your doctor or whatever. I just walk there, but or bicycle down. But that is how it is. And you see people lost all the time there. So I talked to, this person, that person. I was like, look, what about if there's a map app, we could do video for this. We could do videos for people that need some help and guide them around and this and that. And then I get the phone call, basically from their head of the department. And I asked her, how did you get a hold of us? And she said, oh, the work that you did at Kaiser Permanente. One of the people here was on that project. So they really loved working with you. And I thought, well, that's probably even better. All my efforts trying to knock on the doors. Yeah. And then somebody just said, hey, these guys are good to work with. So that actually really helped out a tremendous bit. We did some back and forth. And then I'm not going to say the title or the name of the person, but one of the 3 people that are at the absolute top of the organization, wanted to meet with us and sat down and said, here's my goals. Part of this is I have to deliver this everywhere I go. And it takes me, 20 minutes up to an hour of a PowerPoint presentation, because this is all about the future. This is about the future services. This is about telemedicine. This is about, the different technologies that are going to be coming into play here, and I really need some help. So we looked at it and a bunch of different options. Should we go interactive? Should we go with live? Should we go with, kind of animation? And then he said, I need it done in 3 weeks. So thinking about the hour presentation that he just went through and having that done in 3 weeks, my eyes almost popped out of my head. That I said, well, let me go back and let's get the team together. And we said, we can do it. And then we all got nervous and lost a couple rows of hair.
What are we thinking?
What have we done? So we dove straight into it, put the script together. What we always let happen is let the story decide the style, not the other way around. And so what we found is there's a lot of areas that we actually really want to show, a person or a couple people, of different ethnicities, different, walks of life that are going through the experience of, kind of being a patient. And then one's being a doctor and one's being this, so looking at budget, time, it was mainly timeline. How are we going to get this done? We can't get the cameras out, shoot this. Then we need animation, because it's all about a new app that they have coming out, and, 8 different segments of the app for different people to do different things. So we pitched the idea of animation. So I'd love for you to ask me the question, what kind of animation?
So what kind of animation did
Oh, I'm so
you
glad you asked. I'm so glad you asked because we get this a lot, which is we want animation, but we don't want it to be cartoony.
Right.
And that's a really good comment. I don't want it to be cartoony too, unless you're literally selling to little kids or they're involved in it, like big eyes and, the big heads and all that kind of stuff, but not for a brand that's, a healthcare brand, a hospital, B2B. That doesn't typically play out. It doesn't work. So there's a difference between character animation and cartoony. So there's a big, big difference. So we made the characters because we had to kind of follow characters through the experience here. And we created characters that were pretty lifelike. They are animation, but they're not goofy. They're not, overly sized. They're proportionally correct and that kind of thing, but they're still a little bit light. Healthcare is a very, very serious part of people's lives. And sometimes it's part of end of life. So this isn't something you want it to be, comical, but you also don't want to be too serious or morose. So we found this happy medium and we used a lot of, really, their colors, brand colors and that kind of thing. But the other thing that we did is embraced, I'd say the 2.5D world. We wanted to go to 3D, but when you bring in programs like Maya and Nuke, you're talking about much longer timelines, much longer render time. So we kept it in this, 2D, and we used Adobe After Effects for most of it. But when you talk about 3D, you're talking about X an axis, Y axis, which is sort of making a flat world, and then a Z axis, which means going through things. You actually have depth, so you can take a camera and sort of fly through an area, and that's how 3D is created. We should talk about that someday, where you create a whole modeled world, and then you take a camera, and the camera flies through, just like a regular camera would go through a scene of some kind.
Building.
So we did a little bit of that. We threw that in as much as we could with the program that we were able to use there. So we have this 2D, 2.5D, and a really professional character animation look, and it went over so well. We did hit the 3-week, and then the guy, he said, "You can have another 3 weeks. We're fine."
And you're sitting around going, "But we're done."
We're all sitting around with champagne celebrating. It's done. We did a great job. Oh, we have more time. Well, let's go back and sweeten it up, And so with the extra time we did, we actually added some extra, scenes in, let some scenes breathe. We, could open up a little bit. So extra time is really a blessing in some cases if there's not a hard timeline. So we had something to use that would answer all the questions. And then we got really a great final version for him a few weeks later.
And for a project like this, do you use a single artist and animator, or do you have a team involved?
No, but like this one's, I think it's solid 5 minutes long of pretty serious animation and condensed in a small period of time with those few weeks that I told you about. We had a director, producer, and director. Producer's job was a little lighter on this one. Director did a great job. And we had 2 artists and we had 2 animators. So we had one do the backgrounds and the other do the foreground, sort of the characters. Was sort of one person, and then the foreground scenes, things that are moving around and changing, versus the background, which is maybe the room somebody's standing in, or the background scenes a hill with trees or a building, that kind of thing. So we separated foreground and background, and they, then we blend them together. One person did that, and it really worked out nicely.
Is there a special way that you kind of keep everybody on the same page when you have 2 different people working in the art or the animation? I mean, is it just like a lot of phone calls or just luck?
Yeah. So this is a great question, man. So this is one of the reasons that actually having an actual studio that has really, real software that we've worked on for years makes a huge difference. So they can work independently as long as they're part of the same workflow. And there is no way you can get this done with email. There's no way you can do this done with, just phone calls and check this out. So we set up for every one of our projects, we set up a really precise workflow so that we can all work with each other, and we actually have the customer involved. So we put things in the cloud, and it's, linked to the customer so they can actually watch the progress of the animation, so that we have multiple people putting scenes together in the cloud-based system, and you can watch it step by step. So you usually work in 30-second segments, this 30 seconds, second 30 seconds, that kind of thing. And a lot of times what we try to do is the toughest, kind of the most visually enhanced scenes, we actually do those first. so that we know what budget we have left. Because you can actually, if you save that to the end, like, oh my gosh, we don't have budget left for this thing. Let's get the big ones out of the way first. So it doesn't mean the first 30 seconds, the second 30 seconds, but 30-second segments based on, intensity of the workload.
And then you're involving the client with each of those big sequences or segments as you go?
Yeah. So we involve, here at Rip Media Group, we involve the client in every single step of the way. And they actually get multiple revisions or multiple note sessions as we move along. We treat them like they're part of the director team, or we treat them like they're a producer. And I know that a lot of other companies don't do that. I go back and forth every year on, maybe we should be more like them. They just kind of deliver, here's the middle, and then here's the end. What do you think? And that's it. So it makes their life a whole.
And not even what do you think? It's here, take it.
Here, take it. Exactly.
So, Maury, do you have any resources you could recommend to our listeners that they can check out either through your website or some other way?
Sure, absolutely. There's some great resources that we put together out there. So 3 that come to mind really quick. One is the Video Bot, THE Video Bot, like robot. The Video Bot helps people make their own videos in seconds, and it's a resource that we've been using really successfully, and our customers have been using. So, you want to get back in touch with that cold lead, or the person that hasn't gotten back in touch with you, or you just want to do some outreach, or even wish somebody, happy birthday, happy holidays. There are videos sitting in there waiting for you to personalize, and you can literally do it in seconds and send it out. And there is it's free for the first period of time. So that's a great resource. Second, if I'll give you a link to this, but this is basically it's called the Create the Salesperson That Never Sleeps. And this was actually compiled from all the frequently asked questions that we've had over the years from different customers of ours. So we put all those FAQs together and then turned it into a scorecard and a way to create your own best video marketing message and just marketing messages. So if you go there, you click on it, it's a free download, kind of download this workbook. I think it's 6 pages, nothing too laborious. It's not going to take you a year to go through, maybe a few minutes or half an hour. And you will have a great roadmap for what you should be setting up as far as your company's best story. So that is creating the salesperson that never sleeps. And then the last thing is, ways to promote your video or your story. There's another link that I could get you. And I believe that infographic is the 10 best ways to promote your video and your story. And I'll give you a link there. So those are the 3 things I can think of quickly. And happy to share more if you hit us up on our website at ripmediagroup.com. I really want us to be the white glove studio in the industry. Like, you can call us at any time and say, and I've got a great idea. Can we do this? I have a new idea, or our product changed. It's going to look like this now. Well, that's all right. Let us know what it is and we'll put it in there. So we want to be really collaborative. I want us to be like we're part of that company. That's why all our projects look like our customers. They don't look like us. A lot of studios, like, every video looks the same, even though there's different customer logos on it. But we look like our customers. We don't have a Rip Media look necessarily.
The series of videos that you did for Cedar Sinai definitely speak to that goal. They very much look like Cedar Sinai. They look like coming from them and their shop. And obviously, there are plenty more examples on the Rip Media Group site that our listeners and viewers can take a look at. And we certainly invite them to visit ripmediagroup.com, take a look at some of the samples. Reach out to Maury and his team if you have any questions for any of your video marketing needs. Maury, once again, thank you for joining us. Thank you for enlightening us on the stress and struggles of making timely videos.
That's cool. Now back to making some magic here. Thanks.
Absolutely. Thank you all for joining us. This is Andy Glickman for Video Marketing Success Stories. See you next time.